In the world of VST drums, there are a lot of choices. If you want orchestral, you can take your pick of dozens and dozens of libraries, most of which cost a bit of money. If you want to mimic some Yamaha or Gretsch skins and pair them with some Paiste cymbals for your next rock band project, there are also quite a few choices. But most of the time, you just want to get a solid groove that sounds good, is easy to set up, and doesn't give off Casio CK500 vibes. Thus, we're looking at 3 drum machine VSTs that sound great, are easy to get great sounds from, and don't break the bank. In fact, you can buy all 3 for less money than a used Yamaha Seek Track. These are the 3 drum machine VSTs that I use the most, so let's do some comparisons. A bunch of hieroglyphics. White blinking lights. When I first purchased Playbeat about this time last year, it had several free packs that you could download with a bunch of free presets and samples. Since that time, however, a ton of new packs have been released, and there are currently no less than 15 free packs and 6 additional packs that cost between $5 and $10. If you download all the free packs, that's 1,734 samples. That's a pretty healthy ecosphere, and it's great to see that people are rallying behind this product. The oldest VST in the list is Drum Designer by UVI, which came out way back in 2018. It retails for $149 and boasts some pretty impressive content for that price, with nearly 400 kits, a massive 5,700 samples, and over 2,500 presets. Unfortunately, Drum Designer does not have any additional add-on packs that you can purchase. Triaz is the newest drum machine in my VST collection. I tried the free version a few months ago and was so impressed I bought the full version. The presets are just excellent and cover a huge range of music genres. In fact, of the 3, it covers the most ground for different styles of music. Triaz is the king of sample content, with over 15,000 samples and 700 presets. That's excellent for the $119 purchase price, and even better at the $79 sale price. Triaz currently has one additional library that you can purchase called Drift. It sounds great and adds 300 plus presets, 13,000 sounds, and costs $69. I do hope that Wave Alchemy will release more packs in the future, and maybe some at a lower price tier. All 3 products sound excellent, and I have no problem putting an S-tier label on all of them. Playbeat is very airy sounding. It has quite a few samples with some really excellent baked-in reverb. It also has a kind of modern groovebox feel to it, kind of the VST version of the Digitact. It does not, however, have any effects that you can adjust, so as far as sound sculpting potential, it won't match Triaz or Drum Designer. Drum Designer has a very produced sound. In fact, I don't need to do much to get it to pop. Maybe just some slight compression here and there and ducking if I've got heavy bass. It also has the best effects of the bunch, boasting UVI's impulse response reverb and dual delay X. Plus, if you have Falcon, you have a ton more options including all kinds of drives, modulation, analog delays, just a ton of sound design options. Out of all 3 of these, DD takes the cake for effects and sound design potential by a long shot. Triaz is probably the warmest sounding of the bunch, and it's hard to describe the sound. It does sound produced, but not in a clinical modern way like Drum Designer. Instead, it reminds me of listening to great songs from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s on the radio. Triaz does have a few effects, including a pitch adjust, filter, EQ, compressor, and shaper for each channel. Send effects include 2 reverbs with Reverb B having a lot of options, and a pretty simple delay. Finally, you get an overall EQ, compressor, and maximizer. That's pretty decent, but it doesn't quite match UVI in terms of the amount and quality. Both DD and Triaz have the ability to blend different sample sounds. Drum Designer gives you more control, but Triaz lets you dial in sounds quicker. So if you are looking for speed, go with Triaz. If you want the ultimate in sound design potential, go with Drum Designer. Finally, Triaz has a great drag and drop feature where you can import your own samples, which really makes it one of the most well-rounded out of these three packages. The sequencers of each of these VSTs are pretty comparable, but there are some slight differences. Here are some of the specs side by side. Each of these programs lets you take any sequence and create MIDI loops that you can drag into your DAW and then adjust further if you want. And they are all very easy to use. Just go to the export button or page in each one. Both Playbeat and Triaz have more robust export functions that let you output audio files in addition to MIDI. I like Triaz here because you can select to export at different speeds and lengths and turn on and off individual tracks. It's the most powerful of the bunch. One of the more cool features of Triaz is that you can record motion into each sequencer lane. And this is great because you can adjust the filtering or FX or really anything here. And this can make Triaz sound pretty authentic or insanely crazy. Finally, although Playbeat has a MIDI export feature, it doesn't really work like you would think because of how each of the sequencers is constructed. So basically just use the audio out function instead to get the results you want. You know I like random, and both Triaz and Playbeat have some pretty nice randomization functions. The suite of randomization options and algorithms in Triaz is awesome. Each drum has a blender, and I can randomize all three samples or one at a time. I can also just randomize everything and then lock down specific sounds if I like them. That's a lot of control, and playing with the full random button will often create something interesting that you can then tweak further. For the sequencer, I can randomize individual tracks or the whole enchilada. Full randomization usually doesn't work very well here. Even using the genre limiters, I don't really seem to get anything that sounds great, except when I turn down the intensity below 20%. Use this on individual tracks, however, and you can get some decent results. Playbeat also has some pretty cool randomization features, including being able to randomize individual drum sounds, the entire kit, and the sequencer as well. It has a very powerful smart random where you can select seeds with this little button here. And then if you turn the random knob to the right, it will provide smart randomization based on the seeds that you've selected. This works pretty good most of the time, and it's the best way to really control the randomization so you don't end up with garbage sequences. Playbeat and Triaz both let you lock tracks and drums so that only certain parts are randomized, and this is another good way to use randomization to your advantage. If you want to create new beats quickly, then having robust randomization functions like this are super helpful. Triaz has one final feature here, and that is the ability to humanize and throw some chants into each drum hit. Playbeat is my go-to drum machine for anything glitchy. There are just so many glitch-type presets, and if I want to make something more glitchy, I just add Freezer, thumb through some of the presets, and can usually get something that sounds great in a few minutes. Playbeat is also great for techno, electronica, and industrial genres. And there are a number of presets that would sound great in a horror movie or AAA game. For stuff like pop, electronica, and techno, I lean on Drum Designer pretty heavily. The presets are excellent, and a lot of times I only make slight adjustments even though there is a lot of power under the hood. DD also focuses a lot on several different hip-hop and house genres. Triaz has a pretty broad range of genres to choose from, and it's the only one that's got disco and bubble tea. The cinematic presets are pretty good, and with 700 total, there is a lot to choose from. While each of these packages is pretty comprehensive, there are a few things missing in each one that I'd like to see implemented in future releases. For Playbeat, I think fixing the MIDI out function to work like most users would expect should be a priority. Also, the ability to add some effects would be excellent. In fact, I'd like to see the ability to microloop or granulate as an effect, because that would dovetail really well with the style of beats provided. Drum Designer is the oldest of the bunch, and I would love to see UVI do a refresh and include some of the randomization tools that they brought out in Percussion Factory. I think that would really raise the bar here. Adding an audio export out would also be fantastic, as would having more lanes and more pages to be able to extend beats further. For Triaz, I'd like to see, well, not much. It's got so many great features that it's quickly becoming my go-to drum VST. In general, though, more sound packs all around for these three products would be great. Native Instruments comes out with drum machine VSTs every year, and I think people scoop them up because they sound pretty good, but most of them don't have the tools available in these three VSTs, and they're starting to get a bit vanilla. So releasing more packs would be a big win for each of these manufacturers. I think all three packages here are excellent, and these are the drum VSTs that I currently use the most. If you need something for quick beats that sound professional, you can't go wrong with any of these options, and they are all highly tweakable. For price, Playbeat is the winner, and if you're into ambient, electronica, chiptunes, and glitch, then it's the perfect choice. It's also got the second best randomization controls, and for an extra $29, pick up Freezer because the two pair very well together. Finally, the ability to create new presets and then export them to a sound pack is a unique feature to Playbeat, and it's one of the outstanding features. For pristine sound, massive sound design options, and tweakability, go with Drum Designer. If you also have Falcon, then this becomes a powerhouse for sound design when it comes to drums. You just get so much control on how each individual drum sounds, although this can lead you down a pretty big rabbit hole. For speed and ease of use, Triaz would be my pick. The layout, random tools, and sliders for mixing drum samples make it really easy to set up a good groove. It also has the largest sample library and second largest preset library of the bunch, so you get quite a bit of bang for your buck. Thinking of picking up one of these in the upcoming Black Friday and Christmas sales? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe. Keep making great music. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the other side of the mountain.